Once, in the land between two great rivers, there were two villages that hated each other more than fire hates rain. To the east was Umuagu, a peaceful farming village. To the west was Onuoma, a proud warrior village. For generations they fought, over land, over hunting grounds, over old insults nobody fully remembered. If a goat from Umuagu crossed into Onuoma's yam field, there was shouting. If a hunter from Onuoma set traps near Umuagu stream, there was fighting. And every few seasons, anger would boil over into full war. Spears, fire, burials. In Umuagu lived a young woman named Nkem. Nkem was not the most beautiful girl, but her mind was sharp and her tongue was fearless. When she spoke in the village square, even old men with grey beards stopped to listen. She knew herbs, she knew proverbs, and she knew how to tell the truth even when it hurt. She was also in love. His name was Obinna, a palm wine tapper with strong hands and a gentle smile. They had grown up together, shared roasted corn under the udala tree, and planned a simple future. Someday, Obinna will say, looking at the hills, I will build us a small compound. I'll bring you the sweetest palm wine, and you will cook soup that smells all the way to the next village. Nkem with Nas, just make sure the roof doesn't leak when it rains. Life was hard, but it was theirs. Until the day everything changed. One dry Hamatan morning, while women pounded yam and men prepared for the day, Onuama's warriors attacked. They came with painted faces and sharp spears, shouting war songs that made the air itself tremble. Houses burned, barns blazed. Men grabbed hoes, sticks, anything they could find to defend the village. Women hid with their children or raced to put out fires. By sunset, both sides had lost sons. The ground drank more blood than rain that day. Tired of burying young men, the elders from both villages finally met under the shade of an old Iroko tree between Umuagu and Onuoma. Two rams cannot fight forever, one elder said. Soon there will be no rams left, only horns on the ground. So they decided to make peace the old way, through marriage. The new king of Onuoma, Eze Obidike, called the Leopard of the Hills, sent a message. I will end this war. Give me a bride from Umuagu, not just any woman. Give me the one your people listen to. Let her be a bridge between us. The elders of Umuagu returned home with heavy hearts. They sat Nkem down under their own Iroko tree. Nkem, the oldest elder, began. The king of Onuoma has asked for a wife from our village as a sign of peace. That is his matter. What does that have to do with me? Nkem replied calmly. He did not ask for just any woman, another elder said. He asked for you. The air thickened. Me? Nkem laughed, but her voice trembled. You want to send me to our enemies? To the man whose warriors burned our barns? Nkem, her mother whispered. This war has killed too many. The king believes if you, the voice of Umuagu, join his house, both villages will trust the peace. Nkem's thoughts raced. Her father was old. Her younger brothers were still boys. She knew what the next war could mean for them. That night, under the Udala tree, she told Obinna, "They want you to marry him?" Obinna's voice shook with anger. That war-loving king? Say no. We can run away. Go to another village. I will work. You will trade. We will survive. Nkem leaned against the tree. If I run, the war continues. More sons will die. More mothers will bury children. Nkem, love fills the heart, yes, but it does not cover graves. So you choose him, he asked, the enemy. I choose my people, she answered quietly. If my body can become a rope tying piece between two villages, how can I refuse? So this is goodbye, he whispered. She closed her eyes. Maybe not forever, but for now, yes. Obinna turned away, his chest tight. You chose power over love, Nkem. I hope you never regret it. He walked into the darkness. Before the wedding, Nkem went to the river Omaji, the boundary between the villages. They said Omaji was older than any tree, older than the quarrel itself. She knelt at the bank, holding a small calabash of palm oil. Mother of waters, she called. They want me to marry a man whose hands are red with my people's blood. Am I making a mistake? The river began to swell. From its center rose a tall, slim woman made of water and shadow, eyes deep as the river itself. I am Omaji, the river goddess said. You stand at a crossroads. Show me, Nkem pleaded. 3 paths lie before you. The river goddess raised her 3 fingers. First, marry the leopard king. Use his power to protect both villages. Your heart will bleed quietly, but many will live. Second, run away with Obinna. You will know love and hardship, but the war will continue. More will die. Third, refuse both. Stay here, fight with only your voice, and let fate decide who wins and who is buried. Which path is blessed? Nkem asked. The goddess shook her head. Child, even the gods do not walk in straight lines. Every path has thorns. But know this, when a woman chooses power over love, the gods watch her closely. Will I be destroyed if I marry him? Nkem whispered. Fire can cook food, and fire can burn a house. You are fire. The king is dry wood. How you burn together, that is your story. Then Omaji sank back into the water, leaving Nkem alone with her choice. The next day, Nkem agreed to marry Eze Obidike. The wedding day was bright and loud. Drummers played, women in colorful wrappers sang, children ran barefoot, eyes wide, whispering, "That's the girl from Umuagu, the one who insulted Onuoma's warriors." Nkem arrived wearing white wrappers and coral beads. Her hair was braided high and dusted with camwood. She walked with her head held high, though her stomach churned nervously. At the gate stood Ezeobidike, the leopard of the hills, broad shoulders, scarred arms, eyes sharp like a hunter's. "So," he said, looking her over, "this is the tongue of Umuagu." "And this," Nkem replied, "is the spear of Onuoma." Elders shifted uncomfortably, but Obidike smiled faintly. "They say you speak without fear. I see they did not lie. They say you fight without mercy. I see they did not lie either." The marriage rites were performed. Kola knots were broken, ancestors invoked, goats slaughtered. When it was time for Nkem to search for her husband with a calabash of palm wine, she walked slowly through the crowd, finally kneeling before Obidike. "Will you drink peace with me?" she asked loudly. "Peace burns the throat, but today I will drink." He drank. The crowd roared. That night, in their new hut, he said, "This is your home now. You will be respected, but remember, this is a house built on war. Walk carefully." "I did not come here to tiptoe. I came to make sure this house does not fall on my people," Nkem answered. Obidike chuckled. "Good. A fearful queen is useless." 2 strong wills met in that small hut. Outside, the moon watched silently. Time passed. Nkem learned the rhythm of Onuoma, the warriors training at dawn, the women's loud bargaining in the market, the evening gatherings around the fire. At first, the people whispered, "That's the one from Umuagu." How can she share a bed with the man who killed her people? She must be a witch or a fool. Nkem ignored them. She helped in the kitchens, visited the sick, listened more than she spoke. An old woman, Mama Ijeoma, pulled her aside. "Queen," she said, "a calabash that floats today may sink tomorrow." "What makes it sink?" Nkem asked. "It remembers that rivers change," Mama Ijeoma replied. "Today, they praise you for marrying our king. Tomorrow, they might blame you for his mistakes. Cover your head, but don't cover your eyes." Soon, Obidike began inviting Nkem to council meetings. The elders didn't like it. A woman in the council house, one scoffed. Next, chickens will start herding goats. But Obidike silenced them.
"She's the bridge. We cannot cross without looking." At first, Nkem only listened. Warriors from Onuwoma suggested new raids to seize more land. Elders plotted control of trade routes. There were always plans for more power. One day, she finally spoke. "If you send warriors to raid again," she said calmly, "you will win land and lose sons. Their blood will call to their cousins and war will return. Is land worth more than their bones?" The elders grumbled, but Obidake listened. "What do you suggest?" he asked. "Send traders instead of warriors," Nkem replied. "Offer to share part of the forest in exchange for their salt and cloth. Hungry people sharpen spears. Fed people count money." They tried her way. It worked. Trade deals replaced raids. Yams grew. Children laughed. Even in Umuagu, people began to say, "This marriage might be the work of wise spirits." Nkem visited Umuagu often, bringing cloth, grain, and salt. She paid to rebuild burnt barns and sent help for the poorest families. Some called her a traitor. Most called her a blessing. But one evening, by the river Humaji, an old voice spoke behind her. "Nkem?" It was Obina. He had changed, older, leaner, with lines around his eyes. "I came to see if the stories were true," he said. "They say you advise the leopard king now, that you have forgotten us." "Forgotten?" Nkem's eyes softened. "Every day I wake up in this compound, I remember the Odala tree." "Then come away," Obina said, suddenly. "Leave him. Leave the throne. We'll go far away where no one knows Umuago or Onuwama anymore. We'll build the simple life we dreamt of." Nkem looked at him, and for a moment, she saw it all. A small compound, children playing, the smell of palm wine and soup. No kings, no councils. Her heart ached. But then, she saw two villages burning again. Fatherless children, mothers wailing. "I cannot," she said quietly. "Because you love him now," Obina whispered. "No. Because I love too many people to think only of myself." He shook his head sadly. "You chose power over love, Nkem. Just be sure power doesn't one day ask for a price you cannot pay." He walked away along the riverbank. Neither man of Umuagu nor of Umuwama anymore. Just a man carrying a broken dream. The goddess of Umaji watched from beneath the water. Fire and rain. Let us see which one she truly is. The price came sooner than anyone expected. One night, a strange drum beat on the hills above Onuwama. Not the war drum, not the festival drum. It was the hidden drum. The sacred drum that only sounded when something was terribly wrong. Everyone rushed into the square. There, on the ground, lay a calabash filled with dark, dried blood. In the center of the blood stood a small carved leopard. The village priest's face went pale. "This is the sign of a broken blood oath," he said. "You swore before the hill spirits. You swore never to make peace with Omuagu. You poured blood on a leopard carving and promised to wash away every odd insult with their blood." Obidake's jaw tightened. He could not deny it. "I was young. I was angry. I did not yet know how heavy war is. You broke that oath when you married their daughter and made peace. The spirits do not care that your heart changed. They care that your blood promise did." The priest listened to the wind and then said in a voice that trembled, "The rains will stop. Crops will fail. Children will fall sick. The land will suffer unless the broken oath is cleansed." "How?" Nkem demanded. "Blood," the priest answered. "Either the king dies and his blood balances the oath, or the peace is broken. The queen returns to Umagu, the marriage ends, war resumes, but the curse lifts." The crowd gasped. Save the king and lose the peace. Save the peace and lose the king. Either way, blood. Nkem looked at Obidake that night in their hut. He said, "I broke my oath. I promised war, then chose peace. If I die, perhaps the spirit will rest." "If you die," Nkem replied, "your people will blame mine. War will return anyway." He nodded slowly. "Then, once again, the choice falls on you. You stand between us and the gods." Nkem laughed bitterly. "I thought kings had the power, yet here you are, placing everything on my shoulders." A king commands warriors, but only a bridge can decide which side of the river will fall. She did not sleep that night. At dawn, both villages gathered by the river Homaji. On a flat stone, the priest placed 3 items: a spear, a white cloth, and a small carved bridge. "The spear," he said, "is the king's life. Choose it and he dies. The curse ends by royal blood. The white cloth is your return to Umuagu. Choose it and this marriage ends. Peace breaks. War may return, but the curse lifts. The bridge is the unknown. If you choose it, you offer yourself. What that means, even I do not know fully." All eyes turned to Nkem. Her hand hovered over the spear, over the cloth. Then she picked up the bridge. The crowd went silent. "I will not kill my husband," she said firmly. "He chose peace in the end. Should we punish change with death? I will not run back to my father's compound, leaving behind ashes and calling it freedom. I started this path. I agreed to be the bridge. Let the weight fall on me. She turned to the river. Mother of waters, if blood is needed, let it be mine. I offer myself, but spare these villages. Let them find peace without more graves. Before anyone could stop her, Nkem stepped into the river and walked forward. The water rose to her knees, her waist, her chest. Thunder rolled across a clear sky. Then, she disappeared beneath the surface. Under the water, Nkem opened her eyes. She stood on a broad shore, beneath the river, in a place between worlds. The sand was white, the air was cool. The river goddess waited. You came, not as a victim, as an offering. Will I die? Nkem asked.
Not in the way you fear, the goddess replied. You will become a living covenant. As long as Umuagu and Onuoma keep kiss, you will live and the land will prosper. If they return to war, your body will weaken and the curse will rise again. Your life will become a drum they dare not break. Nkem swallowed. So I will never fully belong to one man, one village, one simple life again? The goddess nodded. You will belong to the peace you created. Nkem thought of Ubina's dream, Obidike's throne, her people's fields. I accept, she said. The goddess touched her forehead. Rise, Bridgeheart, let the rain follow you. Nkem shot up through the water. To the people on the bank, she had been gone for only a few breaths. She burst from the river just as rain began to fall, heavy, sweet rain that drenched both villages, washing dust from leaves and heat from the cracked ground. The crowd fell to their knees. Nkem walked from the water, dripping, her eyes bright with something unearthly. The curse is lifted, but hear this. My life is now tied to your peace. If you choose war again, you choose my death. If you keep peace, you keep me and the land alive. Obedike bowed his head. You did this for us, he whispered. I did this because I am tired of choosing which child should live. She replied. The elder of Umuagu stepped forward. From today, any hand that rises against Onuoma rises against us. We will guard this peace. Obidike raised his spear high. Any warrior who seeks war with Umuagu seeks the death of the woman who saved us. Let his spear turn against him. Obina, standing in the crowd, watched with wet eyes. You are no longer just the girl I loved. You have become our covenant. Years passed. Nkem grew older, but her presence remained powerful. When quarrels between villages grew dangerous, she would suddenly fall ill, her body weak, her breath shallow. The elders would say, remember Nkem, remember the covenant. Quickly, they settled their disputes. Obidike ruled wisely for many seasons. Obina married another woman and built his small compound after all.
Sometimes, while watching his children play, he would glance toward the river and whisper, "Once, she could have been mine alone. Now she belongs to 2 villages and to the river itself." Nkem never had children of her own, but she became mother of peace to a land that had forgotten what peace felt like. And when young women asked, "Do you regret choosing power over love?" she would smile softly. Regret is like a stubborn vine. It will always try to climb your heart. But when I see full barns, safe children, and quiet nights, I tell myself, the price was high, but at least others are not paying with their blood. And on cool evenings, when the moon was full, storytellers would gather children and travelers around the fire and begin. Have you heard of Nkem, the woman who married her enemy, chose power over love, and then gave up even that power to save 2 villages? They would end with a proverb. When a woman chooses power over love, the gods watch her. But when she uses that power to protect others, the gods stand beside her. And if you ever stand at the bank of a quiet river and listen carefully, you might hear a soft laugh in the water, like rain and fire learning to live together.